$215 million deal. Is he worth the money, Stephen A?
No, he is not. And what I would say to you is I want to be very respectful about what I'm saying. Clayton Kershaw is one of the best. Clayton Kershaw is sensational. This is no knock against him. A matter of fact, I think that if you're looking at things from an analytical perspective, a legitimate argument could be made he's every bit as formidable in the postseason as he is in the regular season. Now, obviously, you look at an ERA at a little over 2.3 during the regular season, that balloons to over 4.5 in the postseason. You understand that, but you also understand the pressure that comes along with it. You look at certain different things, and you understand that he is still formidable. He is big time. But the reason why I don't feel that way is because I don't believe at 7 years and $215 million, a dude that shows up to work once every 5 days is worth that kind of cash. As important as pitching is in the baseball, and I know you know your baseball, Max, as important as pitching is to the sport of baseball, I don't believe any pitcher is worth that amount of money because you can't stop the bleeding unless there are rare exceptions. The rare exception would be Madison Bumgarner. It wouldn't be Clayton Kershaw. Because what you see from Clayton Kershaw, even despite his greatness, somehow, some way, when it comes to the Dodgers, he can't stop the bleeding. I remember seeing Madison Bumgarner in the World Series against Kansas City a couple of years back. I remember seeing him not once, not just twice, but also how he came in the game in like the 4th or 5th inning and ended up closing the deal on like 2 days rest or a day's, whatever it was at that particular moment in time. Maybe Dave Roberts should have utilized Clayton Kershaw a little bit better. Maybe he should have had him, you know, for game 5, and therefore he could have been ready for a potential game 7. I don't know, but I will say this. When it comes to the Dodgers, they've been in the postseason 4 straight years. 4 straight years they've gone home. They haven't won the pennant. They're not World Series champions. And when I'm looking at a guy, regardless of his greatness, because in no way am I questioning the greatness of Clayton Kershaw, I'm just talking about what you're worth. I have to believe that you can deliver the goods in such a way that it offsets and negates what I'm lacking. Madison Bumgarner has shown evidence that he's capable of doing that for his team more than Clayton Kershaw has shown he's done for the Dodgers, and that is why I say it's not worth it.
You said a lot there. I'm going to respond to it. It's going to take a second.
Sure.
First of all, he is worth the money. Let's start with that. He is worth the money because Kershaw is not just among the best. He's among the best who ever lived in the regular season.
Agreed.
In the regular season, and he is clearly and by far twice as good as the next guy in baseball right now. Like, he led the league, he led the National League in ERA 4 straight years. Last year, he didn't do it. He led the league in complete games, innings pitched, strikeouts, and fielding independent. You know, how if you take the defense out of it, how good is he?
Yeah.
He's the best, okay? That's 5 years. That's a prime unlike anyone's ever had practically. Sandy Koufax had that kind of prime. But, of course, Sandy Koufax elevated in the postseason. And now this gets me to where I want to go in terms of the clutch argument with Kershaw. You're right. Bumgarner is a clutch pitcher. Listen, for the sabermetrics crowd is like, oh, there's no such thing as clutch. I've been reading Bill James since 1986. Yes, there is, back off. You know, yes, there is such thing as clutch. Curt Schilling, El Duque, Valenzuela, Bumgarner, they all had a certain level, which was very high to varying degrees, and elevated under pressure. Yes, they did. Some guys by reputation did, but in fact didn't. Jack Morris, Andy Pettitte, they had some good games, some bad games. They basically stayed the same guy. And when you're good and you stay the same guy, you get credit. That's not Kershaw. Kershaw's the best, and under pressure in the postseason, he falls off. Now, is he a bum? No, he's not a bum. Neither was Roger Clemens or Greg Maddux, who both fell off in the postseason compared to their regular season stats. And this gets
at times.
Yeah, overall.
We're waiting for that moment for Kershaw, though. We're waiting for
Kershaw pitches you into the postseason.
Yes.
You could replace him with another ace, not just a regular, an ace. You might not make the postseason. He's that much better than another ace. When the chips are on the line, he hasn't been good. Dante's Inferno. I quoted Raekwon and Jay-Z in the last couple segments ago. Now I'm going to tell you about Dante's Inferno. He was roasting his political adversaries in one of the great works of literature, and he had his Inferno, where the various sins get punished in hell, levels 1 through 7. So now I have Max's Inferno of clutch. Okay? You have the highest level, which is Mariano Rivera or Michael Jordan. You are the best who ever did it, and under pressure, you get even better. You have the level under that. You're really good. I mentioned Curt Schilling and these guys. Under pressure, you get better. You got the level under that. You're good and you stay good under pressure. Those guys tend to get a little overrated for clutch. Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Derek Jeter. They didn't elevate. They stayed the same dude, which was awesome.
No, there were moments when Kobe elevated.
They always elevated, but he didn't elevate over his regular season production. He was the same great Kobe.
No, there were moments where I thought he elevated, but go ahead.
Moments in the regular season. We could argue about that. All the way down to the lowest level of hell, which is you might be the best who ever did it, but you are a bum when it matters most. And A-Rod lived there for a while. Eventually, given enough reps, he got out of it.
1 year in 2009 when he was probably juiced up. Go ahead.
Peyton Manning lived there for a while until later in his career when he clawed his way out of it. And Clayton Kershaw lives there now. He's maybe the best who ever did it or in the conversation, and he falls way off.
But I think the point you're not getting is I'm not refuting any of your points in that regard. What I'm saying is if I'm giving you 7 years, $215 million, it's for you to deliver. It's not for you to get me to the point where I need to rely on somebody else to deliver. And that's the difference between you and I.
I'm just saying, because he did the same thing, Clem.
Well, listen.
He blew up sometimes.
You say that? Sometimes.
Time to go to break, folks. Welcome Ryan Clark to the desk. Good to see you, but I got to start with you, my friend over here.
Would you gonna start with Kermit?
That's his version of Kermit.
Yeah, you gonna start with Kermit. Got the green.
Excuse me, Stephen A. Did the Redskins prove they are who you thought they were?
Yeah, they did. They did. Bravo again. Let me say something, man. You know, this last week is kind of, I don't want to say tough because it really doesn't faze me. I mean, Brian Mitchell and Doc Walker threw me for a little loop because I love the brothers, but, you know, they were getting on me because I had the audacity to sit up there and say that, you know what, you focus on something bigger than the NFC East. I apologize. I was wrong. Maybe you should focus on just the NFC East because you're in danger of not getting that. I mean, my Lord, all of this stuff, all I did, Max, Ryan, all I did was this. I said, hey, y'all beat the Eagles, all right? And you roll out there and you're like, yo, we kings of the NFC East. But you're in second place. You lost to the first place team in the division, which is the Cowboys already. You got bigger priorities. You got Kirk Cousins that bet on himself with the franchise $19.95 million tag. You got Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson, who can ball, both entering the last year of his contracts. You got Doxson, who can play, okay, and he's got skills and a tremendous upside. The future could potentially be bright. Matt Jones showed us something against the Philadelphia Eagles. I like this brother. Defensively, even though they've been struggling a little bit, you got Kerrigan and the crew. They can do some things. They can get at a quarterback. And, of course, there's the great Jay Gruden, because we know he's great just by his name alone. Let's be clear about that. We know that he's great. It takes time out of his busy schedule to comment about me. You know, I think it was very, very unfair. This guy has no clue about how hard we're working. Who gives a damn about hard work? It's results. We assume, far be it for me, Ryan, am I wrong in assuming that NFL players automatically work hard? I'm assuming that you work hard. I'm assuming that you're putting forth the max effort. That's what we're getting on me about now? Oh, he doesn't know how hard we work. I know you haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1991. I understand that. I think that when we're talking about that, we're going to talk about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and how they ever won a Super Bowl since 1995. How did we let this fly over our head that the Redskins hasn't been to a Super Bowl since 1991? And then after all that noise you made adopting the victim's mentality, talking about how dare he say such a thing. You go out and lose to the Detroit Lions? Now, don't make me wrong. I think Coach Caldwell's doing a good job with them right now.
They're on the come up.
Stafford is balling. They're on the come up. There is no Megatron, but I'm going to repeat, there's no Megatron. There's no Megatron. So Matthew Stafford connected with Anquan Bolden. Love Anquan, no doubt. How old is he? I mean,
younger than me.
He's gonna be here soon. You understand what I'm saying? He's gonna be working on television soon, someday in the future. I mean, it ain't like he's a young stud on the come up now, and that's who beat y'all for the game-winning touchdown. I'm just saying, Redskins.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo.
You and I don't agree a lot on this show,
Right.
But we agree about this. Whenever I hear a coach or a player talking, like objecting to some kind of criticism based on the fact that they work hard, dummies, it's only relative to who you're playing. right? So, yeah, you're a great football team, but by NFL standards, you're a middle-of-the-pack football team. You work hard, but if that's the point, to go at someone's criticism, then what you are implicitly saying, that means for the people who make this point and don't understand it, implicitly means you're saying it without saying it, but that's really what you mean. What you're saying is that you work harder than everyone else, or else what's the point in saying you work hard? It's just, it's only relative to the other teams. So you're saying you work harder than the Giants, than the Cowboys, and then the Eagles? Is that what you're saying? Because if not, you're mediocre. That's okay. In the NFL, it's worse things than being mediocre. You're in the middle of the pack. You have a shot at the playoffs. You're 4-3, and you do have a win against the Giants, who are also 4-3, but that win could have easily gone the other way, just like your loss to the Cowboys could have easily gone the other way. Washington has certainly, and I won't even say their name, I think it's an offensive name, by the way, but Washington has certainly...
You've been consistent about that.
It's offensive. Washington has certainly been a normal kind of NFL team and has done nothing to distinguish themselves in a suddenly underrated maybe NFC East going into the season. Everyone's laughing at the NFC East. Maybe it's the best or second best division as it turns out in football at the moment. Okay, fine. There are worse things to be, but to react that way over criticism where someone correctly points out you ain't special, you haven't distinguished yourself, is ridiculous.
Well, listen, I caught it this week on Twitter thanks to you guys, right? Because it was like, hey, Ryan, why aren't you defending us? Why aren't you saying? So I said, first of all,
You said Stephen A's right.
Well, what I said was, last time I checked, when two men have a disagreement, men disagree. I said, but if they ask me on TV, I'll talk about it. So when you talk about the Washington Redskins, when you say they are who we thought they were, it just all depends on who you thought they were. If you thought they were a pretty good football team, a football team that could go 9-7, a football team that maybe ekes out a 10-6 record, then you were right. I don't think it's a bad football team. I think it's a football team that can be competitive. The issue with what you were saying was when you start talking about what people say in the tunnel and the way they feel, it seemed like they were saying more than just, we won today over the Philadelphia Eagles. It seemed like they were talking about history. So when you talk about the history of this team, especially recent history, it's nothing to boast about. It's nothing to scream about in the tunnel. Now, you know Bake just as well as I do.
Good dude.
And so Bake is excitable. If you watch him, he's the big dude. You know, he dances. He gets the crowd hype. So he was doing what he does in keeping everybody upbeat about the positive things going on in Washington. And there are some positive things. But this game told me about the Detroit Lions, right? If you look at Matthew Stafford, he said in the offseason, we may be better offensively without Calvin Johnson. I may be better, and he is, because now he spreads the ball around. Josh Norman gets hurt. Marvin Jones makes some big catches. He had the one big catch on him on which he got hurt on. The Washington Redskins are a team that, if they play really well finishing out, they may finish second in the NFC East. If they play about what I think they were, they'll finish right behind Dallas and Philadelphia. This city loves that team. That's why they hate you right now.
Well, listen, they're going to continue to hate me if they continue to lose, because I ain't going to let up. They brought the attention on themselves. They got it.
Well, you got to realize they got Vikings, Packers, Cowboys.
Good luck with that.
Coming up.
But here's the deal. This is how stupid it got in the nation's capital. You actually had people that were accusing me, like, what you going to do? You going to fight Baker? Excuse me? Me? Have you seen the size on that boy? It's just nonsense. We were talking about debating one another about the Redskins. That's all it was. So it's all in fun. And by the way, Baker is a good dude, married to a wonderful young lady who used to work here, who are friends with all of us. We got nothing but love for the Baker household. So it's just nonsense. We're just talking about football. But at the end of the day, hold on. At the end of the day, guys, it comes down to this. Y'all, it wasn't just about dance or whatever. Collectively, they're acting like there's something more than they were to me. And all I'm saying is, you got to win these games, and you got to do something more than what you did.
But life is about perspective, right?
Sure.
It's about perspective. So if you're 9-7, or in that situation, if you're 4-2 and you just beat the Eagles, the team that everybody was talking about before their two losses to Detroit and Washington, you feel good because you got to think about where you came from. Right? So in Gruden's first year, you go 4-12, and now you win the NFC East, and you've started the season 0-2, and you run off 4 straight. That is a good start to a season.
When you're telling
that is a perspective-wise, for those people, you have now won 4 games in a row and beat the team everyone was presuming was going to run away with the NFC East. So if you think about where they were and where they come, they're much more competitive
When you're
than
telling
they were.
their story, you can do it that way. Or you can tell the story of the Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford, who, by the way, you know, after looking like a top 5 talent at the position for years and years, maybe he didn't have the arm talent. He had the arm strength, but maybe not the talent to get it done, even though he put up big numbers. Over the last year now, I would say, full season, if you take the second half of last season and the first half so far, he is balling. And maybe it's not the story of Washington. Maybe it's the story of the Detroit Lions. If you look at Stafford, NFL ranks in pass completion percentage, passing yards, yards per attempt, yards per dropback. He's top 10 in everything, top 5 in a bunch.
Boy, that's his 24th game-winning drive as well, though.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter.
He likes it there.
Yeah,
last point. Washington Redskins, I think they're a very, very talented bunch who can make some noise in the NFC. I don't believe their target should be just about the NFC East. That's why I said, what have you done? You understand? And yes, I'm assuming, because you're running into the tunnel, I wasn't there. Of course I'm assuming. Who the hell doesn't know I'm assuming? I'm on national television. They're at the game. Okay. Of course I'm assuming, based on your reactions, that you're making something more out of nothing. That's my belief. I believe they should be better than what they are, but I also believe they're allergic to prosperity, which is why they are not.
We will leave it